Hello guys and welcome back to TNT Madness. So today we're going to be looking at an old classic but in a renewed version. So back in the early days when I was doing TNT cannons, I made a video called the simplest hybrid cannon in 1.7, and since that has become one of my most popular videos, and for months and months and months people have been asking me to be doing one for 1.8 because that one is actually broken in 1.8. So today I've gone back to the drawing board, made something that is very simple but still does the job really well, unlike the old one that I did, and it is really just here for people who are brand new to factions and just want a simple cannon that can get through water walls. So don't worry, for all you new players, I will be going over water walls and how hybrid cannons work, and for all you advanced players, there's not really much here except for just a really simple cannon that you can use if you really want to. So anyway, let's take a look at this thing in action. So what we have here is a water wall, and all a water wall is a giant normal wall covered in water, and all this does is it prevents people from firing normal TNT from destroying actual walls. So the way this works is, what hybrid cannons do is they actually have the sand inside the TNT. So the sand is the solid block and the TNT is inside a solid block, so since it's inside a solid block it can ignore the water around it. And the reason water doesn't affect TNT, it's just because of the way the game mechanics work, and it's very useful because if we didn't have water not blowing up TNT cannons, then this TNT cannon head would blow up right away. So if we press the button down here, we can see TNT gets dispensed, then a redstone tick goes all the way along the back, then it gets fired along here, and then it creates a small hole in the side here. As you can see, it's absolutely tiny, but if you're using anything but iron, because it has a really high density, if you're using something like stone or dirt, it will have a much bigger effective radius, but as you can see, it still gives you a hole that you can walk through and then get into someone's base. So as you can see, very simple, but works really effectively, and unlike my other version that shot stands straight up, this one fires it directly inside the sand, so it fires straight with it, and it has quite some range onto it. So let's take a look at the redstone. So before we actually get on to the redstone, one thing I'd like to address is that this works in all versions of 1.8, but it works especially well in 1.8.8 because TNT has slightly extra range on fence posts, and with slabs it has next to no range, so I would not recommend using slabs, and this works exceptionally well, like I said, in 1.8.8. which is the current version I'm recording this video in. But don't worry, I have done testing in all other versions, and this does work in 1.7 as well, but the other one is slightly cheaper. So anyway, what we have here is, the first thing you may have noticed is it's a manual TNT cannon. So all that means is that you don't actually have dispensers dispensing TNT, you actually have to place all the sand in TNT by yourself. So how this works is actually really simple. We have this button at the front here, you can place it along anywhere on the side here. It activates this redstone, then it goes into this redstone repeater, which is a long clock of 10 redstone repeaters, or 9 in this case. And what that does is it allows us to have a huge delay just before this TNT explodes. So what will happen is this will activate the TNT, which will allow the sand to fall through the TNT, since it's not a solid block, it's now an entity. And just before the sand actually hits the slab, just a tenth of a block before it hits the point where it's breakable on the pressure plate, it gets fired off by all this propellant, so it is directly inside the TNT, and it can fire off about 30 blocks at maximum in your chosen direction. So this works really well, as it's very simple, and it can be used for slightly longer ranges. Like if someone has a chunk border, then you can still fire it along and it'll work completely fine. So that's pretty much how this works, and it's really simple. There are a few things you have to remember though, which makes it slightly more complex. Is the fundamental rule is you just have to have water at the back so the TNT can come along down here, and it hits this pressure plate which stops the TNT from actually hitting it. But the one thing you have to make sure is that this is a stone pressure plate, or else the TNT will actually be activated here, because it'll be an entity going on the pressure plate, so that way it'll actually activate the TNT. Second, this block here has to be a transparent block, or just no block at all. It's just recommended because if you have a barrel, it'll be much more accurate, as the TNT won't be going to the side. So apart from that, it's pretty basic. It's just a line of TNT, a bunch of repeaters, some redstone and water. So anyway, let's get on to the tutorial. Okay guys, so now onto the tutorial. So what you're going to need is a 3x9 area, as well as some building blocks, one transparent block, 6 redstone, 9 redstone repeaters, a water source block, a fence of any kind, a stone pressure plate, a button or a lever or something that is an input device, and some TNT and some sand. So the first thing you're going to be doing is building the base. So what you want to do is place blocks all around the edge like so, leaving the front bit of the cannon intact for where your barrel is going to be going, which is just pretty much where it's going to direct everything. Think of it like a tiny gun. So then you want to place a block there with your transparent block there, another block up like so, then another block here, and then just a lid on the top. After that, you're going to want to place your fence here with your pressure plate on top, and this is where all the water and TNT is going to stop at. So then you want to come around the back here, place down your water, and if you want to you can fill in the TNT, but I'm going to do that last. So after that you can then place redstone all the way along here and place your button on the side, or personally I like it at the front so it stays in an actual 3x9 area. And then after that you want to place a block here, and then you just want to place down 9 repeaters, all set to 4 ticks delay, so you get a total delay of 36 ticks. So all you want to do is feed them all the way through here so they go into this block here, which will again power the TNT, and then that will drop sand. So what you want to do now is grab your sand, and then all you have to do is place your TNT there, sand here, and then TNT all the way along here, and then you're good to go. The great thing about this cannon is since it's so small and simple, it is actually quite resource friendly, and if you can memorize it, which wouldn't be too hard, then you can just pull it out at any given moment if you see a random base that you want to raid. So that's great. So anyway, I hope you guys did enjoy this video. If you did, please hit that like button, and if you really liked it, hit that subscribe button. But anyway, goodbye from TNT Madness.